evening. Welcome to The Future is Female. I'm Melisa Idris. This is the show where we speak to extraordinary women. We find the extraordinary in every woman. Now, today on the show, I have with me Cheryl Low, who is the CEO at MYGiving, which is a crowdfunding platform for social causes here in Asia. Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's lovely to have you here, and I'm really curious to know more about MYGiving. Talk to me a little bit about this, because it was founded here in KL, right?
Yeah. So MYGiving is Asia's crowdfunding platform for social causes. So we make it our mission to build and grow the online fundraiser and donor community in Asia to give back to Asian causes. So like you said, it was actually founded in Malaysia, founded by a British guy called James Greaves. And we're very active in Malaysia, Singapore and Hong Kong, so these are like our core markets. And we're also helping charities fundraise on our platform in Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia and Philippines.
So why is it specific for Asian causes? Do you feel like most of the philanthropic causes are not, focused on helping Asian charities or Asian causes?
Well, I think, so the crowdfunding platforms that are doing extremely well globally are mostly from the West.
Okay.
So you have people like Just Giving and GoFundMe, and they mostly fundraise for, sort of charities in their specific countries, in the Western countries, or in countries like Africa or South America, where they understand the level of poverty or hardships in those countries. Okay. Whereas Asia is mostly overlooked, we find, where people always think, oh, Asia is developing, you're doing so well for yourselves, you don't need our help. But that's not, that's not true. We always see the disparity, in wealth, there's still a lot of poverty in Asia. There's still a lot of issues that we need to solve in Asia. So Asians best understand, what issues we face, and we will be the ones that will best support the issues in our countries as well.
So, is there a culture of giving in Asia, specifically in Malaysia? Because I understand that Charities Aid Foundation has studied the charitable behaviors of a lot of countries, and 39 countries. Malaysia is the 13th most charitable.
Which is surprising for a lot of people, I have to say. So every time we mention this, like you say, so it's the World Giving Index.
Oh, World Giving Index.
Yes, the World Giving Index that's done on an annual basis by the Charities AIDS Foundation. And they measure generosity in terms of giving money, giving time, as well as helping out a stranger. So in the sort of the 5-year scoring, Malaysia was placed 13, which means we are quite a generous and caring nation. So it's good to know. I think we should be very proud of that.
That was slightly surprising to me when I first read it, because I guess I wasn't quite sure where it was, but now you're saying like where this charitable behavior is coming from. Perhaps I don't see it anecdotally in my life, but perhaps I think there's a culture, you're right, giving money, time and helping a stranger. I think also perhaps in Malaysia or within Asian countries there's this kind of silent charity, right? So you don't kind of talk about it very much. It's very modest.
You're absolutely right. There is a culture difference between how the West fundraise and how Asians do it, and you're absolutely right. Most Asians would write a check quietly, hand it over. They don't want to make a big fanfare out of it. But we're hoping to change that. We're hoping to change that through peer-to-peer fundraising.
Sure.
And this is when, we can empower people, ordinary people like you and I, to create a personalized fundraising page and to fundraise for a charity that we care about.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about P2P fundraising and how that relates to charitable giving. So with MYGiving, you are a crowdfunding platform, so you approach people with causes who want to raise money, is that right?
So we have about 1,000 charity partners on our platform. So every time a charity or individuals can also fundraise for their own personal required needs, and most of them do it either for their medical or education or maybe a local community project that they want to run. So we don't really care about the size of the organization or the size of the campaign that we work with. What we do care about is the impact that they make, which is why we would use the UN Sustainable Development Goals as sort of our fundraising criteria. So as long as the organization that's fundraising or the campaign meets at least one of those goals, whether they're addressing poverty or hunger or gender equality or climate action, so as long as they address one of the 17 goals, then we will step in and support their fundraising on our platform. So then we also ensure that we vet each and every beneficiary that fundraises on Simply Giving. So this is to ensure that they are who they say they are.
Of course, that's important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
well, I do want to get into this vetting process, and I think
Yeah.
that's really important when it comes to, I guess, looking at increasing the level of trust that people have towards charities. But I want to get to know you a little bit better, Cheryl, first, because you have a very interesting background. You started in the corporate sector, in accounting, and you were living in China at that time.
So I've actually sort of lived and traveled around quite a bit. So I think I suffer a bit from wanderlust.
Wanderlust. It's a good infliction to have.
Is it? Okay, good.
So how did you end up becoming the CEO? Simply Giving?
So my background, as you said, is in the corporate sector. I qualified as a chartered accountant from the UK. So I spent most of my life, on my career, sort of in the UK, in London. I worked in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and I even spent 3 months in Malawi, volunteering for a local village school. And then my last job was in Beijing, in China, and that was helping British companies do business in China. So it was more towards business consultancy then. And I think, so how did I get into this? When I was still working in the UK, I became part of this forum that was organized by the BMW Foundation. And they would invite like young leaders from all over the world, from corporate, government, social sector, to get together to exchange ideas and basically to discuss how do we build a more sustainable world. So it was very inspiring. So every time I attended a conference, I would meet very inspiring people. We discussed really, great ideas. But then once I got back to work, I wasn't really, then I just got back to work.
It's almost always like that. You go to a conference, you hear a really inspiring speaker, and you're moved for that few hours, and you go home and it's back to the grind.
It's back to the grind.
But you decided to make a change?
I decided to make a change. So it was, I felt I wasn't sort of creating the impact that I really wanted to do. And I think there was 1 year, it was in China actually, the BMW organized a conference where they asked me to moderate a discussion panel with speakers from different businesses and to talk about how businesses can use their expertise to make a social impact. And one of the speakers, what he said really stayed with me, So he even drew a graph about it, and he said, businesses can do well by doing good. And somehow that stuck in my mind. And then that was the point I realized I wanted to look for a business model that aligns itself to social impact. So, and then being from the finance background, I was leaning more towards social investment. So when I came back to Malaysia, James is a friend of mine, so we were having a discussion. And at that point, I was doing a lot of research on social investment, and there was a platform that I was very interested with. It was called Kiva. So Kiva provides, they crowdfund for loans for the microfinance sector.
Microfinancing, okay.
So micro loans that will help someone work themselves out of the poverty cycle. So these are loans that will make an impact, but they're not donations, they're not give outs. It's still a loan, you have to pay it back. So when I spoke to James about it, we were just having a chat about it, and he says, let's do it together. And he was very enthusiastic. He was like, let's do it together. I've got a platform called Simply Giving. It's crowdfunding for donations, but it sounds like we can merge the model, which is what we did.
Was that a huge jump going from corporate into kind of this social work essentially?
I guess not really, because I was ready for it. So
Okay.
I was
you
very...
were in the right
Yeah,
frame of mind
I
for
was,
that.
yeah, I thought, you know, the corporate career path, I was kind of done with.
Do you miss it? Do you miss it?
No, because
Very few people miss it.
I enjoy what I do now
Good.
every single day, simply because it's, you know, every day we see ordinary people doing extraordinary things, sort of fundraising for causes that they care about.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about these extraordinary people right
Yeah.
here on The Future is Female, coming up in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us on The Future is Female. I'm Melisa Idris, and I'm chatting today to Cheryl Low, the CEO of MYGiving, which is a crowdfunding platform for social good. Cheryl, just before the break, you were teasing us about some of these extraordinary people who are doing extraordinary things
Yeah.
for the good of society. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, well, so our successes are always linked to our fundraisers, and like I said, every day we're inspired by them. And my absolute favorite ones are the kids that are doing good. So these are normally kids aged between like 9 to 13, and they're super inspiring, so thoughtful about you know, who they want to fundraise for and why, and how they want to fundraise
So
for them.
kids come approach you to say, here I know of this case or this cause that I want to raise money for?
Yeah.
We're talking 10-year-old kids?
9-year-old, 10-year-olds.
kids?
So for example, right now we have a 10-year-old boy called Sebastian, and he, so basically he has pledged to swim 100 kilometers between now and January because he wants to fundraise for Yayasan Childcare. And the reason is he's been visiting a home that's run by Yayasan Childcare for the last 4 years, and he's been reading to the kids there, you know, trying to help them to improve their English. So he decided, well, I want to also raise money for this home, and this is his challenge. He will swim like 100 kilometers between now and January, and he's asking all his auntie and uncles to donate, and everyone is donating because they're so proud of him, right? So everyone's donating generously to support him and to support the home.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the story of
So that's
kids.
one kid. Can I tell another
Sure,
one?
of course, go for it. Yeah.
So there's another young girl, a 13-year-old girl called Isabel, and she fundraised to buy music equipment for an orphanage and also to give them music lessons. And then we learned about her backstory. So apparently she was bullied in her previous school, and she was very traumatized by that experience. And her wonderful parents told her, you know, instead of being the victim of a bully, why don't you channel your energy into doing good,
yeah.
and be the voice of change. And so that's exactly what she's done. She's created this kindness movement with her friends. So she's roped in her new school friends to join in. And this music campaign is called Give Back with Music. It's just one of the kindness project that she's doing.
Oh my goodness! So
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. These are everyday people.
Yeah.
I just assumed, thinking that you'd need to be a social worker to raise money for a charitable cause. You'd need to be, part of a CSR program. This is something corporates do.
Yeah.
But it's everyday people.
Yeah,
It's
we
everyday
have.
people.
I'll tell you another story.
Sure.
And this one I absolutely love as well. So I worked with a Malaysian lady last year called her name is Sue Ding. So Sue's a lawyer, a Malaysian lawyer, but she lives in the UK, and she was going to run to do the Saharan Desert Marathon.
Oh wow!
So this is a six day race.
Oh, in the Saharan Desert.
Across the desert, every day they have to cover the distance of a marathon. So every day they'll do like 42 kilometers.
Wow.
And there was one day that they had to do 91 kilometers. And And she, you know, she did it because she wanted to raise money for Make-A-Wish Foundation in Malaysia. And she also wanted to raise money for Malaysian Dogs Deserve Better. So she chose these two charities.
Wow.
And she's the first Malaysian woman, I think, to complete that race. And she showed me photos of her feet, and she had blisters the size of golf balls.
Wow.
But she was just so determined to power on, because, you know, she felt she really wanted to help these two charities that she's picked, and she wanted to raise money for them, and she just pulled through and she finished the race.
And this is why we're number 13 on the
Yeah,
most charitable country.
Yeah.
It's people, Malaysians like this that really help, and I think it makes us feel like, oh, perhaps we can all do a little bit more.
Exactly.
There's a quote that I saw, you know, it makes me think about what you guys are doing is, what do we owe each other? You know, and if it's not money, it can be time, it can be energy, it can be a cause. You just kind of have to care about one thing and then help make that a little bit better, right? So in a few minutes ago, we were talking about vetting charities, and when I hear these stories that, you know, these incredible people and the causes that they champion, it sounds great, but it only takes one bad apple to spoil it for everyone. And if you have one, you know, misleading case or a charity that doesn't give money to what they say they're going to be doing, it destroys the trust of the public. How do you deal with that?
So that's actually a very important part of our onboarding process. When we work with charities, we would go through a pre-vetting process. So when the charity registers to become a beneficiary on our platform, we will ask to see quite a few of their documentations, just to make sure that they are, you know, they're registered in the jurisdiction that they are in, and they're allowed to fundraise. And then we will always do a background check on them. You know, it's very easy to
Due
Google,
diligence, yes, just to make sure.
And then if physically we can meet them, we will. If not, then we will always do a call with the charities team. And during this meeting or this call, it's an opportunity for us first to train them on how to use our platform, so make sure that they optimize the tools that are available for them to fundraise. Then at the same time, we get to know the management of the charity, and we get to know what campaigns that they're trying to run, and how they're doing it, and how can we help them do it better as well.
Okay. Oh, so
all of that forms part of the process.
So do they need to do their own marketing? Do they use social media to spread the word?
Okay,
they do.
So we help each other in terms of a lot of the marketing, but essentially what they have is an account or a page on MYGiving. But with the peer-to-peer fundraising, what we are advising charities is to invite their core network of supporters to fundraise for them. So instead,
spread the word.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
ripple effect. Yes, it's a multiplier effect. Yeah,
so when these supporters fundraise for the charities, the likelihood is they will be able to bring in at least 10 new donors. So, for example, let's say on our platform, the average value of donation in Malaysia is about 100 to 150 ringgit. So when someone donates, that's probably what they can give.
That's quite generous, considering the cost of living.
But if they fundraise, it means then the likelihood is they can bring in at least 10 times that, so they can raise at least 1,000 ringgit.
Oh, wow.
Which means that's a matter of them going to 10 of their friends and family and say, hey, I know this great charity, I volunteer with them, or you know, however, I love the impact that they make. Instead of buying me birthday presents, can you donate to my fundraising page so that I can, so that this money will go to the charity instead.
That is wonderful.
And so that becomes more meaningful for them. So a lot of our fundraisers are either doing it because they don't want any birthday presents, which we love, or they're doing it because they're doing a marathon or a personal challenge.
Okay. Is it almost always individuals, or is it also corporates?
No, we do work with a lot with corporates as well. In fact, that's that's sort of the group that we're trying to grow our partnerships with.
Okay.
I think so. Another example is 2 weeks ago we worked with KPMG in Malaysia, and they were organizing a Asia Pacific Partners conference, and during the conference they had a gala dinner as well. And during the dinner, they really wanted to make that into a fundraising event. So they chose to fundraise for Epic Homes, which is
which builds
houses
sustainable
for
houses
for Orang Asli community.
Yes, they're doing wonderful.
Yeah. So KPMG. So we helped KPMG set up a page on Simply Giving, and the beneficiary was Epic. And during that dinner, we also set up 4 sub-pages for the different KPMG teams. So there was an audit, tax.
So it became an internal challenge.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. And so during the dinner, they just opened the fundraising for 1 hour. So 1 hour.
Oh, that was very
so
limited
people
time.
could scan in the QR codes of the teams that they wanted to donate via. So everyone was just scanning in, donating, using their phones. And they raised 290,000 ringgit within that 1 hour.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah.
What wonderful news for Epic Homes
Yeah.
and the good work that they're doing. All right, we're going to continue our conversation and talk a little bit about the MYGiving event. It's coming up after this on The Future's Female. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for staying with us on The Future is Female. Cheryl, talk to me a little bit about Giving Tuesday and the Malaysian iteration of that, MYGiving.
Yeah, we're very, very excited to be, that we've launched MYGiving in Malaysia. So MYGiving is part of this global giving movement called Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday is actually one Tuesday in a year.
Okay.
And it was started in the US, and it's basically the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So you have Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, which is a massive sale day.
Yes.
And then there's Cyber Monday, which is another
Online.
like our 11/11.
Yes.
And then they thought, okay, after all of this extreme consumerism, we need a day of giving back. So that's why Giving Tuesday was formed only 7 years ago.
I love that
And,
actually
yeah.
because in America you eat so much for Thanksgiving, then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
splurge and buy so much
Yeah,
in sales,
exactly.
and then you give something back.
Yeah,
Right, it's
yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah, it is, and so since then, it's actually grown into it is the biggest global giving movement, and it's been officially adopted by 60 countries. So this year, Malaysia joined for the first time, and we wanted to localize it, the branding, which is why we've called it MYGiving. Okay. So this year, it's celebrated on the 3rd of December. So for Malaysia, MYGiving is from the 3rd to the 8th of December, which means then every country will participate at the same time.
So 3rd to 8th December, that will make it a little bit of a period, a bit of a window as opposed to just one day.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
just to get Malaysians more comfortable
Yeah,
with that? Okay,
yeah,
just give
I
us a
think
bit of a
so.
breather.
Yeah, we wanted a bit more time.
Right.
But on the 3rd of December, everyone around the world will celebrate and encourage giving at the same time. So it's like communities and individuals. In Malaysia, we're trying to get more businesses and schools and universities and all the charities to be part of it. So anyone, anywhere can take part in MYGiving, and you can give in terms of your time, your voice, your influence, or money, of course. So it's really up to the individual what they want to give to and how they want to give. So it's just we want to basically make kindness go viral. And that's what's happening across the world.
Make kindness go viral.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
lovely. What are you hoping to see? I mean, in terms of when you say celebrating, right? Do you have targets? I mean, I know
We do.
It's very difficult to kind of set targets for yourself. But do you have targets?
We've got what we call a BHAG, so we've got a big, hairy, audacious goal. So we want to raise 320 million ringgit So that's sort of, 10 ringgit per Malaysian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is a huge target, but we want to put it out there. We want our aspirations to be high, and anything is possible.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you look at how Giving Tuesday performed last year in the US. So last year in the US alone, they raised $400 million US dollars within that 24 hours.
That's amazing. So hopefully we've got a little bit more time. Maybe we can raise a bit
Yeah,
more
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to flash the website on the screen right now. So if you have more, you want to know more about MYGiving, you can go to this website. Cheryl, in the last minute or so we have left, what message would you like our viewers to know about what it is that you're hoping for come the 3rd of December?
Well, we want as many people as possible to join in this giving movement. I think right now the message is we want to raise awareness. We want people to, to do acts of kindness, any acts of kindness, and we think that would really help to build Malaysia into a stronger nation, and to embrace our diversity, to do good.
Perhaps, give money, give time, and maybe even help a stranger.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been such a pleasure
Melisa.
speaking
Thank you
to
so much.
That's all the time we have for The Future is Female. I will be back with another episode, same time next week. This is all for this week. I'm Melisa Idris, signing off. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.